Welcome back, my friends. In the last video, I showed you how to build this machine. Pretty simple, pretty quick, actually a lot faster than most builds, even though it has pretty much the same components. And now we're going to go through one of the most difficult, not only because you gotta maneuver funny ways to get in, but because it is so time consuming, the fact that you need to go in everywhere. But we're going to go into the wiring portion of the build. So we connect everything from the power supply to everything to give power to the entire system. And then we're going to go ahead and make it pretty once we get everything connected. So come over here real quick and let's get started. All right, so since we're going to be moving everything around under here and I want to make sure you get the best possible light, I'm going to go ahead and remove the video card. I've already unscrewed these screws over here and I'm just going to press this over here to release the video card. Just so that you know, you don't pull a video card out. Okay, just above the video card on the PCIe slot, there's this little lever I showed you earlier. So what you're going to do, you're not just gonna pull the card out because you end up ripping the PCIe slot out. You push that down and you'll notice pushing it down, the card pops out a little bit. Okay, you notice the card popped out a little bit. And now we can simply pull the card out. All right, so coming along the back, we're going to go ahead and pull all of these cables out and put them everywhere they need to be. So I know that the front panel power button, reset button, LED lights, they're going to go on one of the little holes on the bottom of the case. So I'm just going to slide them in there. Okay, they're gonna stick out a lot, but we'll correct that in a second. The HD audio, or AAFP, goes towards the rear of the case, another hole they have there in the case. And I'm going to show you everything in 1 second. The USB 2 header is going to go in one of the holes towards the middle of the board. And I'm going kind of quick on this part, but I'll show you exactly what I'm doing. Now the USB 3.0, I'm not 100% sure. So turning it back around, USB 3 is going to go here through the middle grommet. You'll notice the USB 2 came out right over here. The USB 2 header is right down here. Front panel audio is right here. And or you plug in everything for the front panel IO is right over here. And I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, but I'm kind of just doing this quickly. Okay, and then remember, it goes through the USB 3, goes through the second grommet hole. All right, so that's all in place. Okay, so we're going to start with the part that's the most difficult for everyone, or most people. The front IO, where you power button reset the activity LED and all the other stuff up front. So your manual tells you everything you need to know of where to connect everything, but on the bottom there's little silk screening that tells you the same thing. So let's go ahead and zoom in on there. You'll notice the top up here on the bottom here shows PWR LED, so power LED. The bottom one shows HDD LED. Next to that on the top shows PWR SW power switch. Below that, reset. The top shows speakers for the last 4 over here. And the bottom also shows PWR LED, but we're going to go ahead and connect that up here. So we'll start off with PWR LED, power LED right over here. Okay, so you can see that here. It is 2 separate connections. And you'll notice towards the left, there's a plus. And towards the right, there's a minus. So that tells me this one over here, the minus, goes on the right, and the plus goes on the left. So just connect it right here. And minus right over here. Sorry, really bad angles, but it's hard to get my hand in on there. Okay, and then right below that was HDD LED with the same plus and minus. So since I know the plus is going to be on the left, I'll just flip this around. Okay, and then right next to that was reset on the bottom. And that one doesn't really matter how you connect it. We'll just go ahead and connect that there. And at the top was the power switch. Okay, right up here. All right, so a lot easier than it looks. So we're just going to slide everything out. And again, your motherboard is going to be different from mine. So read the manual on that, either online or the actual paper manual. Okay, so you notice this motherboard doesn't have any kind of PC speaker around here. So that's why it's awesome that they included this speaker inside of the motherboard box. Okay, so you'll notice that is a 4-pin header. The top here is a 4-pin connection as well, and it's going to go across these top pins. Okay, and there is no notice for polarity, so I'll just go ahead and drop that down here. Now, when you drop it down there, just make sure there is no exposed metal down here. That could end up shorting things. There isn't, so makes it perfectly fine. And then you don't have that ugly PC speaker there. Looks a lot better. So right next to that, you'll notice 2 USB 2.0 headers. Okay, so we can either slide it right through this hole, which actually I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I was gonna say, or we slide it through this hole over here, but that way it's a lot less messy. And I'll clean up that clutter down there in a second. So we'll notice there is a little pin blocked off right over here, and there's a missing pin down there. So that tells us that's the way you connect that. So really simple. So coming along towards the left of the board, we can see right over here is the front panel audio, and this is HD audio. There is a missing pin right there. You can see that there. And there is a missing pin right down there. So we just match those two up. And that's it, we're connected. All right, so we've connected together front panel audio, USB 2.0, your front panel header, and the speaker as well. And I'll clean that up in a little bit. I kind of want to do it now, but I'm going to save that towards the end of the video. Okay, and coming up from there, we have the USB 3.0 header, this cable right over here. You'll notice there's a little notch right here that lines up with a notch right here. So simply plug that in and you're set. Now, unfortunately, the USB 3 connection is a horrible connection. On any board you're gonna plug it into, it's out of place. So I'm gonna tuck that cable in, but we're not going to be able to turn that around or angle it this way. So it's gonna be kind of sticking out at a weird angle, as you can see there. All right, so let's go ahead and pop in the power supply real quick. All right, so coming around to the back of the system, we're just going to go ahead and move these cables out of the way. We have to hold them out of the way. And now we're going to slide in the power supply. Make sure the fan is facing down. right, and now the case brings the screws for this. Now we just line up all the holes here, 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 and here. And I should have mentioned it, but this is the screw that you'll be using. So it is 100% screwed in. You don't want to screw every single screw 100%. So till you have all the screws in, you don't want to tighten all the screws 100%. All right, now this being the last one, we can screw it in. You'll notice that it pulls the power supply in. That's it, we've screwed in the power supply. And now we have, since it is not a modular power supply, we have all these cables we need to deal with. All right, so zooming out a little bit, we're going to go ahead and just place all the cables where they go nicely. The ATX24 pin, the ATX24 pin is right over here. So we're just going to move this aside a little bit and slide it in through the rubber grommet right over here, kind of prepping it for when we actually get to it. Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. Then up at the very top, if you remember, there was an 8-pin CPU power right up here. I'm just gonna go ahead and slide it in there for now. All right, just for now. And this power supply requires one 8-pin power connector. We're going to go ahead and slide it into that second one again. That slot is getting a whole lot of use, or that hole I should say. We're done with all the cabling, at least sliding it through all the grommets. That's all the power we need because we don't have any SATA drives or anything other that requires power. But the controller right over here does require power, so we are going to need one of those SATA power connectors. I'll just go ahead and undo this twist tie. Okay, and then we can just grab one of these SATA power connectors. I'll grab the one at the very end, and then you notice there's a little L or little lip over here that matches up with this lip right over here. Then we just, there we go, that's connected. Now, let's go ahead and plug all of these up because we are going to need to come back over here to plug in the controller into the ARGB headers on the board. All right, so ATX24 pin is going to go connected right over here. You notice there's a little hook right over here. That's going to go with this guy right over here. That just kind of locks it into place. All right, so easy enough there. Now we're going to go ahead and plug in the 8-pin CPU power right up here. And I split these up so that I could fit it easier through the hole. Let me just go ahead and put it back. All right, now just plug it up here. All right, and just sliding it back through the hole. All right, and now let's go ahead and connect the ARGB cable. There is going to be the fan power and the ARGB connector and the ARGB power portion. So we'll just go ahead and slide both of those into the hole right down here. And let me show you on the board where that's going to go. Okay, so you'll notice right down here and right down here. are the headers. That is a 5-volt header, so we're going to connect that right over here. And then the fan we're going to connect right over here. And I'm just sliding it in behind other cables so that it doesn't get in the way. Okay, and we'll connect first off the 3-pin fan header, and I'm pulling this through so that nothing falls back through that hole. Okay, 3-pin there, or 4-pin, sorry. And then you'll notice there is that missing pin there. There's also a missing pin right over here. Okay, and we're going to just connect it that way. Okay, then we'll slide the access down here. And at this point, we can go ahead and plug in the video card again. Okay, and now we have the PCIe connection. Okay, and then we'll just go ahead and grab the PCIe cable. Notice the little lock up here is going to line up with the lock right over here. All right, and we got everything connected. So now with everything connected, now let's just go ahead and make everything look pretty. So don't ever say that something didn't take as long as you expect. because the next thing is gonna take twice as long. So the cabling became a little bit of a issue, not because of routing or anything, just trying to make it look pretty. So let me bring you in a little bit closer. All right, so you can see down here, the cabling looks pretty nice. Don't worry too much about that. Out of sight, out of mind. All right, coming up over here, I just noticed that. I don't like that. I'd have to fix that. But all right, coming this way, we can see I was able to feed the 8-pin very nicely through that over here. You could see kind of how I cheated, hiding the cables back there. It's all good. And then coming over here, the USB 3.0 and the ATX 24-pin. Coming up here, the 8-pin and the fan cable right through there. You also see how I routed that fan cable right through here using the zip tie counteracting with the DIMM over here, kind of keeping everything in place. Okay, and then I utilized what they already had here to bring all the cables right through here, as well as that nasty thick ATX 24-pin. Then jamming in a lot of the cables right through there, right through here as well, feeding everything through there. Then we can see I kept the way this looked. There was nothing wrong with it. And I didn't need to add anything additional to it. And then coming over here, so you were able to see close up how all the cables were. Doesn't look 100% pretty, and I might play with it a little tiny bit more, but I wanted to give you an idea of not only how to connect everything, but how to make it look a little bit pretty too. So I hope I helped you in that as well. In my next video, I'm gonna power it on for the first time and then update and configure the BIOS, as well as install Windows 10, all the drivers, to show you exactly what you should do with a brand new machine you build. If you have any questions whatsoever, don't forget to go ahead and comment down below. I'd love to help you with any question you may have. And don't forget to click like and subscribe. It really does help me a ton to bring you videos just like this. And click on the little bell notification. That way you know when my next video comes out. So I hope I helped you out in that aspect. There's going to be a lot more coming soon. All right, my friends, I'll see you later. Iggy out.